Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, so make sure to like, subscribe, follow, join the Locked On Buffs community. Comment below if you're an everydayer. If you don't know what an everydayer is, first of all, you got to become one. Second of all, if you don't know what it is, an everydayer is someone who's subscribed, they comment, we discuss things in the comment section. I like to be very interactive with everybody, so I'll duke it out with you in the comments if I have to, right? If you disagree with me, let me know, and we'll talk about it in the comments, and that's okay. You guys also won't want to miss out on some of the cool interviews we have coming up. We got a couple transfer portal players that are incoming to Boulder that I will be talking to on the show. We already interviewed Zach Atkins, the tight end, and then Carter Middle, the offensive lineman, so you won't want to miss that. Let's talk about Coach Prime, the NFL draft, and although Coach Prime or whoever runs the social media, which I'm not going to point fingers or whoever it is, but I think, well, I don't know who runs it, to say, we'll just put it that way, but I do know it's not always him running it. And whoever runs it, they got duped. And and if you guys don't know this, and I'll do everyone a solid right now, and we're going to learn a little bit of a lesson on social media and making sure our sources are accurate. Wes Steinberg, aka Wesley Steinberg of a ASMR Sports, and he's an NFL and New York Giants insider, who has a 17, almost 18,000 followers. He's a spam account or a troll. So he posted an X post. Sorry, I'm trying to process this because it happens to the best of us, He posted breaking: Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders has no interest in playing for Browns or Titans. This could have major NFL draft implications. And then it says Shedeur's father, Deion Sanders, will demand his son goes to a big market with all good infrastructure for a young quarterback. And it's like, okay, that sounds believable, right? And everyone's like, oh my gosh, Deion Sanders is already forcing his hand. And it's like, okay, pump the brakes. And Deion Sanders quoted it and said that it wasn't true. And then also DM'd him and said, stop lying and have some class and professionalism about yourself, my man. And I think little did he realize after the fact, because he deleted the tweet, that it's a troll account. That being said, I did think it was interesting that Coach Prime is really trying to make sure that people know. He's like, hey, I'm not coming out here to say my son's not going to play for this team or that team. That's not what we're doing here. And I think that's interesting because that's kind of the notion, right? I think we haven't really had a prospect like Shedeur Sanders or Travis Hunter, for that matter, who has a figure in their life who is relevant enough to sort of force a hand like that. Let's just go Trevor Lawrence, a couple years ago. Say he didn't want to play for Jacksonville, right? I don't think Trevor Lawrence, even if it was Dabo Swinney, I don't think people would be like, okay, Dabo says he doesn't want to go to Jacksonville, so he's not going to go to Jacksonville. Or Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams, I think if there were to be anyone, it probably would have been him to try, but I don't think Caleb Williams had anyone big enough in his corner to do so. That being said, Deion Sanders, if you want to, could certainly insert himself into the conversation and be like, you know what? I don't want to have my son play for the Cleveland Browns, or I don't want my son to go play for the Tennessee Titans. He could do that. And maybe Archie Manning, who did the same thing with Eli Manning, maybe they could force their way to a certain team, but he says he's not going to do that. And he also made sure to tweet, and he said they've already started the line and positioning, but they forgot I got time today. And then he also had a post that said it will be multiple idiots that will say things that totally aren't true regarding where I would like Shedeur and Shiloh to play in the NFL. If I say it, I will say it directly to whom it may concern, not an attention seeker. And he said, I do know the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell, personally. And then it had a little mic drop. So clearly, Coach Prime is a little bothered, trying to shut down these notions that hey, I'm not going to do this. I think it's good that he says this. I do think the hard part about him saying this now is he kind of already said that he would do that. And I'm going to pull up the quote right now, because he, not that long ago, I'm trying to remember, he did say something along the lines of, it will be an Eli. Yeah. So when there was an interview way back when, and he said, I'll pull a Eli, a LeVar Ball, a LeBron James. I'm pulling all of them. Honestly, we've talked about it ostensibly. I've talked to a multitude of NFL teams because they're at practice every day, but I want what's best for them. I want them to be happy. And he was on the nightcap. So that's with Shannon Sharp and Ocho. So he has said that he would sort of, I guess, be vocal about forcing his team or his son to a team, but he clearly isn't wanting to. He's not wanting that to be the notion anymore. Maybe he was just joking around, and maybe people took it too seriously. Because I think the problem with or not the problem with Deion Sanders, but the problem with Deion Sanders' platform is people will take anything he says and sort of run with it. And I think that's the hard part about it. And like, I'm reading a story right here. This was written by March 25th, 2024, CBS Sports. He was on a podcast, $1 million worth of game, and said there are certain teams that they will refuse to play for. And he says, I know where I want them to go. So it's certain cities that ain't going to happen. It's going to be in Eli. So he's kind of already put the narrative out there that like, hey, if I don't like your team or your city or your franchise or how you develop quarterbacks or whatever, he's kind of already laid the groundwork that he will say something. But I think now he's trying to hush those notions down. That being said, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he did it behind closed doors, because I mean, if you're Deion Sanders, why would you not like help your sons be in the best position? Like I think that's the hard part about this is people are going to get mad at him, but it's like, if your parents can help you in any way, or if you as a parent can help your kid in any way, wouldn't you do it? Right? Like I know some people are going to be like, oh, that's a nepo thing to say or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, I think the thing about knowing people, and we say this in every industry in the world, it's about who you know, right? It's not always fair, but it's how it goes. Sometimes people get different opportunities, right? So I think if he has the influence and the power to sort of help his sons end up in a better situation for their careers, for their livelihood, why would he not do that? I don't think he'll make it as public as people think it will be, but I wouldn't be surprised if we hear a few murmurs a few months from now where it's like, yeah, Deion Sanders said this or that, but he's clearly saying that he's not going to do that. So we'll just have to wait and see what the verdict is, because we all know after the draft, there's always going to be like a few reports where it's like, oh my gosh, this happened. Like, I think my favorite post-draft report is, and it's always like a year or two after, where it's like, well, the Saints really wanted to draft Patrick Mahomes. Like, everyone wanted to draft Patrick Mahomes, and according to reports after drafts, right? Like, certain GMs were just banging on the table and they got shut down. So we'll just have to wait and see what actually happens. When we come back, the Coach Prime doc is dropping. I'm going to tell you the 3 things I'm most excited about to see.